Happy Star Trek Day! It wasn't always like this. Today on Trekland Tuesdays Live, number 223, with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, bringing you clarity, sanity, and the big picture in everything Star Trek. And thanks a lot to these folks in our Patreon for helping us do that. Hey, welcome back. It's another Tuesday, slightly delayed. But we're all here. We've got the power. We're running it. I hope everybody will be popping in here in the chat pretty soon. If you're a veteran, if you're with us every week, welcome back. You know what's coming up. If you're new to us, if you found us out this week, live or later, hey, every week we're here. I take on a topic. Hopefully it's not just more of the same old you see everywhere else around the interwebs. First off, I want to talk about, as we record this, it's tomorrow. It's September 8th. 2021, the 55th anniversary of Star Trek Day. And my goodness, it's a thing now, isn't it? Anybody that's been around longer than 3 or 4 years, though, is going to watch how this has evolved. This day has evolved. And the day, of course, is September 8th, which was the first day, the anniversary date back in 1966, that we mark Star Trek's official age from. The day that NBC first telecast Star Trek to an audience, a mass audience that could see it. The Man Trap was the episode. It was not one of the 2 pilots. It wasn't even the first show filmed when they started regular production after the second pilot, which would have been Corbomite Maneuver. Nope, the Man Trap was picked out of the first 5 or 6 episodes to show folks what the show was shaking down into. And yes, I know, little known fact, did you know that Star Trek was actually shown to an audience broadcast 2 days earlier, September 6th, 1966, in Canada? But that doesn't count. Home audience was September 8th, and that's the day that we've always marked. I say that we've always marked because we haven't. Now, look, tomorrow is going to be a huge lineup. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Tomorrow at 5:30 Pacific. What it looks like is 5:30, at least by 6, the actual panels will start. They've got 6 panels for 3 hours. They're turning the live audience here at they're going to be live. We've had a year and a half of things gone virtual. Yay. But for the first time, there's going to be a live audience again. A red carpet, which will probably be streamed. Red carpet starting at 4 Pacific, actually. We'll see if that is streamed or not. But by 5:30-ish, 6, they've got 6 panels lined up. So give or take 30 minutes apiece. Plus 5 little video spots to interstitial in between those. Star Trek Prodigy is up first with Brett Gray, who's playing Dal, and D. Bradley Baker, who's Murph, the sound machine, the little blob, along with the showrunners Kevin and Dan Hageman brothers, and their co-executive producer Ben Hibben, who is the art side. So Prodigy, which we still have not seen yet, but we're still talking about. It's supposedly up next after the Lower Decks run. Then a Discovery chat with Wilson Cruz, Blue DeBarrio, and Ian Alexander, and showrunner Michelle Paradise. Then Strange New Worlds, which we have not technically seen footage of, but we sure know Anson Mount, Rebecca Romaine, and Ethan Peck. Co-showrunners Akiva Goldsman, who you know, and Henry Alonzo Myers, who you may have seen at the chat, I think one of the summer chats, or maybe a year ago. A very impressive writers panel on Strange New Worlds. So we've got them for half an hour, and then a Lower Decks panel, this time with Noah Wells and Eugene Cordero. We're going to have, Tendi and Rutherford spotlighted, along with Mike McMahon. And McMahon, hometown pronunciations will throw you every time. Sorry, Mike McMahon. And then a Picard panel with Patrick and Jerry Ryan, and Akiva Goldsman, and Issa Briones singing Blue Skies live. By the way, Jeff Russo, composer of the Picard and Discovery themes, is conducting a live orchestra at the Skirball, which will be awesome. And then to top it all off, since this is the 100th year of Gene, this is Gene Roddenberry's centennial year of birth, a Gene Roddenberry panel that Rod is going to lead with some familiar faces to you past the current shows. Gates, LeVar, and George. Gates McFadden, LeVar Burton, and George Takei. for the new fans in the audience. Then the live folks are going to be able to see an exhibition of some of these pieces that are going to be up at an upcoming auction at the Skirball. The Skirball to be hosting an exhibition in October through April that's coming. And in between those moments, there'll be some video moments, and this will all be seen by the streaming audience too. Sirach, Lofton, Anthony, Garrett, George again, and LeVar again. So you've got DS9, Enterprise, Voyager, Ridge. All the series or all the legacy series are represented. And again, this is, on one hand, everybody virtually can be watching live, but for the first time, they've brought in a live audience, a VIP audience, and a big fan audience to react in the moment. So, you know, as we've been talking about for the last year and a half, creeping back toward live events, a mix. It'll be really interesting, very smart. Everyone there has to be vaccinated. We all had to show proof of vaccination digitally ahead of time. So, you know, be watching for that. The red carpet will be. Oh, also, I don't want to forget this. They're bringing back the Star Trek United Gives campaign, the hashtag campaign. This time, when you hashtag anything on September 8th on Star Trek Day, everyone that tweets that, $1 is donated and divided equally by Paramount Plus and the Roddenberry Foundation to several organizations that are doing real world work on championing equality, saving the planet, innovation, supporting the arts. It's a new campaign to honor Gene. It launches on the 8th. This dollar giving day is especially for that day. So you hashtag Star Trek United Gives, as they've brought out 2 or 3 times in the last year. So make sure everything you hashtag on Star Trek Day, also hashtag it Star Trek United Gives, and help out some very worthy outlets. And on top of all that, if you're into swag, and who's not these days, there is a special code, Star Trek Day 20. You can get 20% off special Star Trek Day merch at shop.startrek.com. Go to the official site. And there is a curated, as they say, a special limited edition just for Star Trek Day 2021, the 55th anniversary. That's an awful lot. That's even more than was done a year ago when we had just, we were in lockdown. Virtual panels have been a breakthrough, as we predicted here at the very beginning. We had the technology. We can do it. What strikes me about today's topic, and I hope I see you all across the inner tubes tomorrow and watching at home, watching for news to come out. I'm sure there will be some news out of some of these panels, especially for, let's hope, Prodigy and Strange New Worlds. We'll see. Maybe the others too. One thing that strikes me in the meta sense here, which is what you expect from Trekland, is how far we've come with Star Trek. For one thing, how many of you remember when it wasn't even called Star Trek Day? I was doing some, because this creeped up on us. Social media, of course, and hashtagability is what's driven some of this. The first time I really remember hearing it called Star Trek Day officially was the first official Star Trek comeback time, Star Trek Day 2017. The upshot of what the network was able to do for a show that hadn't really aired yet, if you remember, by September 8th, was a great little, 60-second clip, a video clip of all the actors of Star Trek Discovery's cast that we were barely getting to know and meet, all sitting in a captain's chair saying Happy Star Trek Day while their name and character flashed by. And they, it was a parade of 8 or 10 or 12 of them. And at the time, I thought, wow, that's new and different. It seems quaint now. We've got 4 or 5 hours of panels and entertainment here coming tomorrow, which is an uptick over last year's. Every year has grown. The pandemic, ironically, has both squeezed that and lit a fire under it. So yay on the virus. No. The silver linings of this pandemic, we're going to be enjoying. The downside, the tragedy of it is unspeakable, obviously. Personally, politically, but scientifically and culturally, sociologically, there have been some silver linings come out of this. And this is one thing. If we have to have a disaster like this, at least here's a good sign. Here's a good part of it. I remember that commercial though in 2017. Do you remember it? Happy Star Trek Day. Everybody flashing their Vulcan Vs. Happy Star Trek Day. Left hands too. Yay. There, I can do it left-handed. And that struck me then, which got me thinking now, where did that come from? Because, yeah, socials and Twitter and hashtags drove this. I started doing some research. The first time I used the phrase Star Trek Day on my blog was in 2012, 2011. And that was referring to First Contact Day as the Star Trek Day, because we didn't really think of there being a special day. First Contact, of course, is what, April 4th. And it's from First Contact, the movie, First Contact Day. We all know that. But at the time, it was like, oh, this is a canon day. This is cute. And it really started, it was sparked by Star Wars, yes, and May the 4th. And all that became an early internet thing, you know. But since Star Wars is, I don't know, have you ever heard this? Star Wars is actually set a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, where they are not using the common era dating system, shock of shocks. So there's no canon days to throw at you unless you're looking at production side, right? So yeah, May 4th, May the 4th, okay, the premiere, all of that, or actually into June, but it was a cute thing. Has nothing to do with the movie. You know, April 4th actually does have something to do with Star Trek. We've picked up a few other days since then. Back in the day, though, well, I shouldn't say most. A lot of fans who read any kind of behind-the-scenes book, and that's all you could do back in the dark ages of 2008, 2010, we kind of knew that September 8th was the Star Trek anniversary date, you know, the birthday of Star Trek. And that's what we used to say. We used to say, happy Star Trek anniversary, happy Star Trek birthday. I mean, face to face with your 8 or 10 Trek fan friends. And when Twitter especially, Facebook, yeah, and Twitter especially made hashtags a thing, happy Star Trek birthday, happy birthday Star Trek, happy Star Trek anniversary. That was kind of the thing. I think Trek movie, the first time I saw them, I was digging. First time I saw them use it was in 2012 as Star Trek Day for September 8th. But it wasn't really widely used. I think Star Trek here, StarTrek.com, official CBS / Paramount Plus, I think they're the ones that kind of championed it. Although it was around a few years, I did see some, as one barometer to go to and look at with consistently written writings. I didn't in my blog. I would usually do an anniversary post and I would say, happy birthday, Star Trek, or happy anniversary, Star Trek. This whole thing about Star Trek Day has been a recent phenomenon. It creeped in. It's fine. Yay. The marketers love it because you know what? Day is 1 syllable. Birthday is 2. And oh my God, anniversary is 5. So who needs that? Go with Star Trek Day. The other thing is First Contact Day is First Contact Day now. And we have 2 given days. We have a canon and we have a production side day. And you know what, kiddos? We just passed the T-minus 3 years and counting for the Bell riots. September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. I'm kind of shocked that I didn't see more, although I guess counting down to a major social disruption, upheaval, and cause of death that we're really hoping. It was bad enough to get to the eugenics wars from 92 to 96. And I kind of laughed that off. But Star Trek is a lot more important now than it was even in the 90s to the little circle of Star Trek folk. It's global and it's competing with other franchises. And how much do we really want our prime timeline of reality to match the prime timeline of Star Trek? As much as we protect it in guardrail canon in Star Trek, we are going to increasingly come up against, you know, we survived somehow the eugenics wars. I guess in 2002, Nomad was secretly launched as a deep space probe. But we're really going to come up against it in 3 years with the Bell riots. But it's a day. It's a day. It's something that Star Wars doesn't have and Star Trek does. And it's awesome. And now we're calling the anniversary Star Trek Day. The other side of this coin is this is the 55th. The 50th obviously was huge. It's the 50th anniversary. I always mark it as the 50th anniversary, yes, of TOS, but include the franchise. Tomorrow's events include the whole franchise. It's obviously the birth date of the original series, and when you're the oldest in the family, you get most of the attention, I guess, even as the years go by. But I like celebrating the entire franchise on Star. We're not marking the anniversaries of all these others. Well, we do, but in the family we do. The world doesn't know when the premiere of Enterprise flies by in a big way. There are not There's not parades and marching bands and virtual panels scheduled for the premieres of every single other series. So the original series kind of marks it for me. And yes, I'm up for celebrating all these. Now, the 50th was seen as a celebration of the original series. Okay. The 55th, not so much. The 50th is also kind of a last gasp, I think. A lot of people were hedging their bets about how many folks from the original series we'd still have with us. And thankfully, we have everyone we've got right now. But in the broader picture, yeah, use that to sell. July 4th marks 1776, but we don't just honor the 13 original colonies. We honor all the 50 states and beyond that are part of the USA today. So there's an awkward analogy. Anyway, the thing that really strikes me, though, is not just about the phrasing or the naming, but the fact that what the studio is doing. Of course, the cynical would say, well, of course they're celebrating. It's their franchise property. They've got a vested interest in promoting it. It's just as much to promote this as it is to make a million little 30-second promos to drop with each episode as everything airs during the week, which is from 1966 onward. That's promotion and marketing and PR. And increasingly, we're finding that the modern world has gotten so sophisticated, and there's so many channels here to advertise, to promote on, to market on. You don't have 3 networks, you don't have 500 channels. You've got the interwebs now, and everything that spins off. So, boy, take advantage of all that. You've got a vacuum to fill. There's an endless void here to fill up with reminding everybody or attracting new eyeballs, attracting more people to Gene's vision and the magic that has brought all of us here. And even in our niches, whether you're a cosplayer or you're a shipper, or you just like futurizing future tech, whatever it is, or more, we're all here. That's why we're aboard her. Risk is our business. And attraction and fun and all the things, all the feels of Star Trek. And it's amazing to think, though, that wasn't always the case, because there have been different owners of Star Trek and different attitudes within the company that owns it, and of course out in culture. And nowhere do we get back to that of thinking this marketing, aside from the content, just the fact that it's even happening. And of course, we've got new Star Trek. We're out of the fallow years. All through the fallow years, it was hard to get excited about a Star Trek anniversary. It really was just in the family. But yes, come 2017, come 2016, with the 50th, was really the launching pad for the beginning of the template of how corporate ownership would look promoting Star Trek, with the first panels, long overdue panels at Comic-Con San Diego, much less what was done with Trek Vegas and presumably now the new Reed PopCon starting in Chicago. And that's been ramped up ever since and that's a known thing now. That's a constant. That's a standard thing. But before the standard, who felt like celebrating when there was no new Star Trek? But even before 2005, even before that, what did the studio celebration look like? We know looking at pre-streaming is going to look about as archaic now as looking at pre-internet. I predict it. But in those pre-streaming days with just the internet, you know what it was? A logo and special events at cons, maybe some other things. The 50th really broke that mold, and a lot of Katie bar the door fun and excitement and exhibits, were trotted out for that. It was the fallow times, but there was a series on the way. Right? November 2015 was the first announcement of something coming new. We'll tell you the name and the focus later, but new Star Trek is coming. And Alex Kurtzman's in charge of it. It's going to launch this new wing of streaming. What the hell is that? And that was November 2015. So there was something undergirding the 50th anniversary, and we eventually got details. Before that, you got a logo. Now, you got special movies and episodes. You got Star Trek 6 with Spock in Star Trek 6, also Spock on Next Generation Unification. You got that. for the 25th. You've got flashback and tribulations for the 30th in 96. So things did happen. But that was the mentality of the thinking. You got special events on conventions and cruises and day-long celebrations that way. And now we're getting back into pre-internet days. But where I really, really draw the line is on the 10-year anniversary of Star Trek in 1976, there was no studio support at all because they were fumbling around for a movie in the 70s. But no one was thinking meta or mega, and there was nobody in charge. Gene was in charge, but there was nothing to show for it. And in the old days, you had nothing to show. You kept your mouth shut until you did. But Lincoln Enterprises, Roddenberry.com in the old days, paper and stamps, came out with the Star Trek Tennial medal and logo because it was the bicentennial. So, get it? But it was the 10th anniversary, 66 to 76. Let another 10 years go by. 4 movies down, a huge movie. Paramount realized exactly what they had, and the paradigm changed. 1986 is what I call the second coming of Star Trek because you had a breakthrough movie that was globally popular, Star Trek 4, the one with the whales. You had Spock on the cover of Newsweek. You did eventually have a new series and a new concept of what Star Trek could be announced. But most of all, you had a studio that got it. And there's no better way of noticing that, of having that be a barometer. It was the first time the studio supported an anniversary. It took 20 years, but finally Paramount realized, these are the family jewels, and we should do something about it. Do you know what the logo looked like for 20 years? Bingo. There you go. Your first studio marking of a Star Trek anniversary. 20 years. Yeehaw. And that was something. But again, nobody else did this. Nobody else celebrated a dead show that had made some movies. Star Trek was unique. Nothing else was like it. It was breaking the mold every time it turned around. Our guest back again this week on the Trek Files, John Wentworth, is in promotion and marketing. He was a legend, came to Paramount when he was 23 and helped promote all through New Gene Roddenberry, all through the Berman era, and moved over to CBS after the Viacom divorce and retired just a few years ago, still teaching. He is a great perspective on this phenomenon. But here's what 1986, the first time the studio owners of Star Trek realized they had an anniversary to market. Fast forward 35 years. What does it look like this year? You come a long way, baby. I think we can show that. So yeah, it wasn't always like this. And I don't just mean streaming panels. I don't just mean having a marketing campaign and noticing that it's happening and putting it out there or having a short, snappy phrase. It took 20 years of Star Trek before the studio woke up and decided it was worth marketing. But hey, the little owner and his wife that could, trying to keep this thing afloat and figure it out without embarrassing themselves and pay the mortgage. Yes, 1976 had the Star Trek Tennial, but the first time Paramount got involved was 86, and look where we are today. So yeah, happy Star Trek Day, everybody. Happy Star Trek Day. I just want to say a thank you to everybody. I will be seeing everybody. If I'm allowed to, if we can do it and we have signal, I'll try to do some lives before and after tomorrow. So be watching for that. No promises. We'll see what we can do. Meanwhile, again, a weekly thank you to everybody in our Patreon, our TTL Club, Blaze K, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne Marie Siegel, Keith Rombach, Justin Porteous, Nathaniel Robinson, and J.R. Poole. And our current live wires, Rusty Harrell, Habyard Gunn Johnson, Jalen Bullock, Robert McLean, Alan Hohensi, and Casey Shafsky. I want to thank everybody who's doing our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Tuesdays Live. Go out and check us out. I keep a very simple house, $5, $10 for a shout out. The $10 folks, the live wires, are supposed to be getting access to our early interviews with backstage folks that we completed for Portal 47, and I'm overdue to get those out for the last few months. I'll do it. I promise. Meanwhile, thanks everybody It's not a big deal, but it's a big deal to me, and it helps do a little bit of support here, spreading the multi-streaming end of Trekland that we've actually come so far. Just like Paramount, we've come so far this last year and a half of pandemic. But we were doing this 5 years ago. We've been doing this for 4 years, kiddos. I did mention John Wentworth on the Trek Files. I'd really love it if everybody could go check it out. Facebook.com/the Trek Files is the hub with the documents, but you can find Trek Files anywhere fine podcasts are given out free. Saturday, we'll be back with another Life Support Live, Dr. Ali and Dr. Trek. One of us is a real doctor, but we're all going boldly through uncertain times, geeking out on Trek and giving you some tips for daily living with a different theme driven by Star Trek. Currently from Lower Decks every week. That's at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern. And hey, one more shout out for our friend Michael Braveheart, who was Ensign Martinez, Nurse Martinez, to help with his GoFundMe campaign. I know he is up over 2,400 now on his way to his $5,000 goal that he had to up after he moved back to LA a couple months ago. But go check it out. He does post and he sends personal thank yous to all the donors. That's at GoFundMe. Hey, that's going to do it on this Star Trek Day Eve. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much. You can find me at Larry Nemecek on Twitter and Larry Nemecek's Trekland, just like right now, on Facebook and YouTube. Like and subscribe, please. And Instagram. We'll be seeing a lot more of you across all the channels. Meanwhile, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, please, please stay safe. Do all the things in this pandemic. It's not over yet. And the folks that celebrated a little too early, a little too much early partying, and their leaders, in some cases, have kept us wave alive. We just need to get the kids vaccinated. So do all the things, and please stay woke. Watch out for false information. Watch out for the things that are distorting your sense of reality, as well as those who distort your sense of history. Don't be averse. Don't be closed-minded when you learn something new you never knew. Be angry and then be smart. I guess what I'm saying is, as always, truck well, everybody.